You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Orange is the New Black After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Orange is the New Black After Show.
The animal, chop, 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 till the cage is full. The cage is full.
I know we do.
I know, we do need a... Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the second season, first episode of Netflix original series, Orange is the New Black, starring Taylor Schilling, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey, and joining me today is...
Hey guys, I'm McKay.
Hey, Scott Moore, we're back.
We're back, and unfortunately, Megan
Long
Thomas,
overdue.
she couldn't be here with us for the debut of the second season.
Well, because she's busy at home watching them right now.
Right,
so she's
exactly.
ready.
She's like binge watching the whole season.
She is.
But we miss her voice on the intro
We do.
song because she adds that extra little flavor to it. If anybody knows Megan singing, you can't miss Megan singing anywhere.
My
Her voice is so
singing mate.
distinct, right? Okay, so this episode is entitled "Thirsty Bird," and is directed by none other than Jodie Foster, who has been poking her directorial head up a lot on the
She
Netflix
has.
platform.
Right.
We also do
House of Cards.
House of Cards, and she
yeah.
did an episode or two on
She
that as
did.
well. I'm like really impressed, Jodie.
Yeah.
Of course, I love to see her on screen as well, but I mean, it's dope that she's actually
It is.
getting behind the camera and
It
like
is, yeah.
showing her skills. Like, you know, she's like a child star turned adult star, not adult star, but you know what I mean, like an adult.
I think it's
Who's a
Movie
star?
star who happens to be a star,
Director.
right? Exactly. No triple X going on with Jodie Foster.
She's
My
the
bad.
multi-hyphenate.
Right, exactly. So, we see Piper in a bed. She gets woken up, and I like where they're going with the season so far because, well, obviously it's
No, the
you know,
season where
one
it just
episode,
opened.
I
like-
I was like, as soon as you open,
as soon as it
this
opens,
is great.
As soon as it opens, she's laying in a cot in a cell, and we're as oblivious as she is because after she beat Pennsatucky's butt,
Yeah.
on Christmas, we're like, oh my gosh. And then Haley just stood by and watched the whole thing happen. So, of course, we're like, what is going on and what has transpired?
Right, in that interim,
Since-
and wasn't that great? I mean, just that very end, where we talked about the end of that first season there, when it just faded to black, and we're like, what happened? And we had to
Right.
wait and wonder what happened.
Right.
And like you said, we open up to this and we're like, what's going on? Where is she?
Faded to orange, actually.
Well, faded to
Fades
orange, yes.
It
Yes.
always fades to orange.
Yes, you're right.
It's like
yeah.
so weird because it almost feels like it's blood on the screen, but it's not really
I mean,
blood
that
because
was
it's orange.
just, it was so great.
Yeah, it was awesome how she, and I'm so happy.
I think it should
that
win
she
one of
beat
the
her
best
butt.
fight scenes.
It was.
It
was. Absolutely.
I mean, that was a beatdown I definitely was not expecting. So now you're like, okay, what?
What else is she capable of?
Well, not only that, it's what is going to happen to her now because something's going on,
Right.
and we're just as much in the dark as she is. So she's getting whisked off somewhere by these COs, and
yeah, she's in Chew, and they
Right.
whisk her off in the middle of the night.
Right.
We're like, what's going on? You
Right.
know, like, what did she do? And now is she in Chew? Like, is she going to be a longer sentence? Like, what's happening here?
The
Right.
death penalty.
Right, like what's going on? Yeah, because we don't know. We don't know what happened at first. Like, we don't know what happened to.
You know what's so funny?
Punk's funny.
She's asking all these questions while she's getting transported, and she gets put on the bus, and it just amazes me that she is an inmate, obviously,
Right.
but the fact that she is so entitled as an individual just constantly reminds us of how she grew up in her background because she demands to know where she's going, and you can't, take her and whisk her off somewhere without her being told, like, are you kidding me? You realize you're in prison, right? You're in jail.
Yeah.
But
But there was a flip side to it too,
Yeah.
because, and I love the fact that it didn't tell us, because it was sort of like we had that fear too, like where the heck is she going? What did she do? What's
Yeah.
going on? But it was almost kind of ridiculous that they couldn't tell her. I'm like, man, they really want to like play the treating you like crap card here. They're not going to tell you where you're going or what's going on. I mean, that was weird too, I thought.
Yeah, but she wasn't the only one. She saw there was like...
Right.
At first, I guess, she was by herself when they took her.
Yeah.
So that's like normal, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Where you guys taking me? But then it continued after she saw there was a group of them. So it's not like, she's not going to some... she has a light sentence, first of all. So...
But does she still?
But
That's the thing. After that
exactly.
fight, we don't know what happened. We don't know if her sentence was increased. We don't know where
that's
she's
true.
going.
That's true. We don't
But
know.
I like the flashbacks they're giving us in season 2 of a younger age than what we're used to seeing. The flashbacks with Alex, so it gives you a little bit of a perspective, to her character and
Right.
why
Of
she
her
is
childhood.
acting,
Right.
the way she is.
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, you saw that she had experiences that kind of formulated the core of her value system, which ultimately led up to, everybody's always responsible after they grow up. You're still responsible for your own decisions.
Sure.
And what your choices that you make, obviously. But you can see the contribution that her family life and her background made to that. And it's just really interesting how she experienced certain things where lies and secrets were like a part of, it was associated with happiness for her as a child. And it was like really weird.
Well, I don't think it was associated with happiness. I think they just, it was like the perfect Christmas card. As long as they looked happy in the picture, behind the scenes was, they could lie and do whatever they wanted, but it wasn't really considered happiness.
Right. It was like that
It was-
facade of like, let's
yeah.
make it look like it's perfect and sweep everything else under the rug. And, especially obviously with her mom there.
It's
pretending like everything's fine.
Which was crazy because you can see like I love how the writing was great.
Yeah.
How they showed the arc, even as a little kid Piper, like the arc of how she didn't even jump off the back of the bus at the end of the school year, or was it Christmas time or the end of the school year? They were going on some kind of break.
Yeah.
And
It was a Christmas.
It was a Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, so the kids are like, she has her best friend sitting with her, and the best friend is like, such and such going to invite you to the party. You got to show that you're cool, blah, 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 that you're fun. You got to show that you're fun. So I guess there's like this school tradition where the kids jump off the back of the bus. The bus driver knows about it. He slows
Which
down.
would
to
never
like,
happen now.
No, it never.
Imagine liability.
Right.
Like,
You know how many
of
lawsuits that would
course,
be?
I know.
Like
in a
crazy.
small town,
Sure.
maybe.
Maybe.
Right. Still, I don't know.
I don't either.
I can't see
I'm
it.
just waiting for if it was now the Piper kid now would have like the phone and had the videotape
Right.
or camera phone. And
It'd be on YouTube.
It would be, and all of a sudden the bus driver would be fired. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
He'd be in court, like being sued for civil, all kind of negligence and
Right.
everything. But he slows the bus all the way down to 5 miles per hour, and I love how the reason that she gives.
She's still a smart ass. Even when she's
Unnecessary,
small.
unnecessary risk.
Risk.
Yeah.
Her
Like
dad
she
told
was
her.
like, what, she like
Yeah.
10, 11, 12 years old, something like that.
Had to
Like
be.
maybe like
Yeah.
10, maybe. And her dad gives her this logical reason, and she's able to process something that was probably a general lesson that he gave her and apply it to this one situation.
Yeah.
Whereas, really, you're going 5 miles per hour, but she's overly
Calculated.
Yeah. Overly analyzing,
overly
thinking.
cautious, overly cautious. And as time goes by, obviously she realizes, AKA that she going to the movies and like taking a risk, just getting the tickets to go to the movie theater was like a big deal to go see Dazed and Confused, which was an awesome movie back in the day, which is so funny. I like how they bring real world things around so everybody can relate and keep everything relatable. But that was a huge risk for her, just doing that.
Right.
And, she wasn't obviously old enough to go see the film with her friend, but they were like, yeah, let's go. We're going to go see this movie. They paid some kid an extra $10 to go get to the movie, and then she sees her dad out there. Like, I don't know how I would respond or react. I think things are, different for boys than they are for girls, especially with the mom, dad, the son, mother, and the daughter, father relation. I think, girls tend to be like, tend to be close with their dads, and boys tend to be close with their moms. So, if it was a boy that saw his dad, if she was a boy, let's just say it was her brother, Cal. Let's just say it was he might be like, cool, dad, like dad, but that probably was really well, obviously it was traumatizing for her. because she felt compelled enough to go tell her mother about it. And her mother's reaction was classic.
Yeah, exactly. Like
She just...
pretending like, yeah, it
Well,
wasn't
you
going
can see
on.
why, everything that happened in her family has handicapped her and kept her confused, even in her personal life. She didn't know, who she wanted to be with, Alex, her fiance. She's confused because there hasn't been stability in her household as well.
Right.
Well, and that's what I was
So-
going to say. The same thing with her brother too. I mean, that's why I think a lot of her brother has a lot of issues as well. So,
Cal is funny.
no, he is, but he definitely has issues too. And I think it does go back to their whole family situation, and you can see that now. And that's what was great about this first episode, is being able to really kind of see back to her childhood. And I'm hoping they do more of this.
And,
Right.
and
To
she
really go
connects, telling the truth with getting grounded. So why would she tell the truth, moving forward, growing up, if she knows the consequences is going to be something bad?
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure her grandmother taught her the best lesson right there.
Oh my God, her grandmother too. Oh my God, that was ridiculous.
I want to know if that's the grandma from the dad's side or from
I
the
did
mom's
too.
side.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Whose side are you taking?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, 'cause
I have to
did
go
think
back.
that when I was watching it. I didn't know
Which grandmother
mother.
it was.
Yeah, like whose mother it was.
Because obviously, if it's the dad's mom,
Yeah.
then she might be defending him
Yeah.
and being like, sweep it under the rug or whatever.
Yeah.
Because we know the mother-in-law of
exactly.
the other mother-in-law would probably be
I know, it was
have
so-
a bullwhip and be like, this is horrible.
That was the thing that was so tough. I'm like, does it kind of go with generations? Like the woman that's like, oh, well, the men slept around. That's what I was still trying to figure out. I didn't know if it was like, oh, it's just accepted and,
Right.
self-esteem things or whatever. And the grandmother just didn't care either. So that's why I couldn't tell.
I kind of assumed it was the dad's.
I assumed as well,
I
but
did too.
I just
but
wanted to make
even though
sure.
they
I
didn't
did,
really
but they didn't really say.
Yeah, I just, for some reason, just assumed
Yeah.
it was the dad's. I don't know. You guys that are out there watching right now, you guys can always call in and ask us any questions or put in your input, 424-256-1729, 424-256-1729, because there's a lot of things up in the air, obviously, that, and there's more things that are going to be up in the
right,
air.
and there's a lot of details, and there's
right.
a lot of things going on, and it's easy to glide
Exactly.
over some of them.
Piper, oh my goodness. Anyway, so she's on this plane ride. They transport them from the bus. Mm-hmm. They take this nice long bus ride, which she almost seems to like lose it as soon as she gets on the bus because she's getting no questions answered. There's people spitting in CO's faces, and they put her on, or that was on the plane though. Actually, I think that was later on the plane.
That was before, yeah.
That was,
they got on the plane.
yeah. So, they got her on the plane with like Hannibal Lecter with the mask, and it's just like, where are they taking? Like now, she's like really kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly. I think anyone would in that place if they're not familiar.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
She doesn't know where she's going. Oh, not to mention the male stalker guy that was on there, and he was like, I could make you like it and all this stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he scared me. I was like, yo, you better do whatever he says because he's a predator. That was pretty scary. And the fact that she ended up dealing with him later just goes to show that whenever it comes to Alex, she does not think clearly.
No.
I think she
At all, whatsoever.
She gets
I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but
more courage. For some reason, she gets the strength to fight for her, which
she
is really
just
weird.
doesn't. I think she just doesn't
She
care.
doesn't do that with
And-
Larry.
Larry the putz. Anyway, so she finally ends up at wherever their destination.
Yeah, it was like it was just, the whole thing was just weird. They get on the plane. She's next to this woman who reminded me of Yoga Jones.
Yes.
It's like,
She
I was
did
like, first
kinda
I was like,
remind me
it
of
kind of
Yoga
reminded me of
Jones.
her.
With the earwax.
The Vaseline. She's like, here, do you want some? I have it in my ear. And I was like, oh.
It's like, really? I was like, really? Like, is somebody really gonna?
I'm like,
what to moisturize, and you're gonna put that on your mouth?
And then it was funny because the girl next to her with the Hannibal mask
Yeah, it was like, I
so
want
she's
some.
like, do you really think I'm going to put my finger
Yeah,
in?
and then
and then move it over to like, come on.
And then the whole thing with the bathroom and waiting to go to the bathroom. I was like, wow,
Oh my gosh.
it's better treatment than Coach today, though. At least you have someone escorting you to the bathroom.
Right.
And everything. I'm like, nice treatment.
No door. He's like, it sounds a little light.
I know.
Need to
You
push it.
said that too. I was like, oh my god.
He's like, you got to push that out. You know, we got to play like,
gotta
like, wow, you really have no privacy whatsoever. And
Well,
it's
you
like,
could see why. You know, the razor, the girl taking the razor under her tongue, and you just never know what you're going to be dealing with.
It's
so
just,
you
but
want to.
it is kind of sad though, isn't it? Though it's almost like then you're almost like they're treated like animals in a way. You know, it's like they can't go by themselves. You don't know. It's just the whole thing was kind of sad to me in a way, like the way they were being treated. They weren't telling them where they were going. Him telling her to pee harder. I was like, God, this is just, it's crazy.
Is it, you know, okay, so we know they're inmates. You know, they're criminals. They have been personalized and humanized to us because we're watching a show.
Right.
Right? But how do you think society looks at inmates? Do you think part of the reason of the show is to actually to convey some kind of like empathy towards inmates, that it's not really.
Well, you know, one of the biggest problems right now is even like the younger kids coming out of camps and prison, and they're looked at differently. They can't get jobs, so they're trying to promote for second chance, for people to give them second chances.
Right.
And employment is number one, where you can't really get a job if you have a record. So making them more human and relatable to society. And you know, showing that you might have made the same mistake, you just didn't get caught.
Right.
And these people were just in the bad place at the wrong time, and they got caught. But it doesn't mean that everything that they did is wrong. So when you think of someone going to jail, you automatically assume either they killed someone, they had some dealing with drugs, something like that. You don't think that they carried a bag of money.
Right.
Over, at the airport, and that's why they're in jail.
Right. You don't think of the white collar crimes that a lot of these people commit, and also, I think there's a thing like, because if we don't know people that are in prison, we don't have a face for that. So the empathy helps.
It's more of an umbrella type thing.
And it's really
lock them up and throw away the key, and they're all bad, and you know, bad backgrounds, bad everything, and you don't know them, and so there is not people that want to care about that.
And it's really contradicting to have, the warden or what's her name? What's
Fig.
her title?
Who?
Which one?
For the prison, the girl.
Assistant warden, Figueroa.
Figueroa, yes. She's like, doing the same thing.
Right. She's doing something that's definitely criminal.
She's not
culpable.
She's working in prison, doing the same thing that some of the inmates are in jail for. So it's really contradicting, and it's bringing into light that it happens every single day. Corporate America, anywhere you go, it happens.
Well, it's so funny.
Some people get caught, some people don't.
It's so funny. I hate to. This is not even Wikipedia. I'm going to refer to it's Instagram, which I think is probably worse of a reliable source or something than Wikipedia. Sorry, Instagram, love you, but I mean, when it comes to this. But there was something posted one day, and it had a picture of two male individuals. One was a corporate guy. He was dressed in a suit, and it said he was facing 6 months to a year of house arrest for embezzling $5 million. And then they had another gentleman who was much older. He was elderly, but he was sentenced to 33 years for stealing a $140 television. And it was like, wow. And the races were different, but I think one thing that's a bigger issue is I believe just personally that race has been a cloud for classism, and classism is really about being classist. Because obviously the people that are stealing millions and millions of dollars, they're getting like a slap on the wrist.
Of course, right.
And people who are committing petty crimes are getting crazy sentences and crazy punishment, and you're like.
But it also has to do with the money as well, because those people can buy off the judges, they can buy off, whoever opposing counsel. You even see Piper, when she's in the shoe, Larry gets, the dad in season 1, down there to figure out why is she in there? Why can I not talk to her?
Right.
And they're forced to release her out because it caused too much commotion.
Right.
And they were digging deeper, like, okay, what's going on? But you don't have, the other family members of the inmates doing that, so it's really unfortunate.
Because obviously the resources,
Right, the resources
are limited, and
which part of that comes from race and class
of
issues
course
from before. So there are a lot of, and we can go on forever about the prison issues, especially out here in the
most
state
definitely.
with the prison realignment and debtors prison. That's a whole other thing now.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of people are in there now that can't afford because they add on all these crazy fees and everything for these prisoners. It's like, how are you supposed to move forward too? You can't get a job when you get out, but now you owe so much money for everything that you've had when you were in prison. Like Arizona adds like an 83% surcharge to everything that you're doing in prison in the state.
Right.
It's like,
and then most of them are repeat offenders because of the experience that they have. They can't get a job, blah, blah, blah. So they're trying to survive.
And they're in debt because of this, because they can't pay all these prison fines.
So it's like once you get in the system, it's like they try to keep you in.
Can you claim bankruptcy from prison
It's really
fines?
hard to get out of there.
Can you claim? I don't know. There's so many restrictions. Like when you're a felon, there's like so much stuff you can't do. You can't vote. You can't. There's a bunch of stuff you can't do once you have a felony on your record. But I don't. There's some things that the system likes to call privileges, and then there's a slew of them. I'm not going to go into all of them right now, but I think they're still based. I think if you're a citizen, there's still rights that you should have, regardless if you've made a mistake. That's the whole, part of penance and paying your sentence. It's like, okay, well, I did this crime, I paid my sentence. Now, why am I being sentenced for the rest of my life with this mark? It's almost like, say you owe a credit card company $1,000. Well, once you pay that $1,000 off, it comes off of your record. So why are you still hampered with this, where it affects you for the important things that you need to survive once you paid your debt? Because there's certain things like sexual predators or certain things like that. I think if someone's a rapist or something and they need to be watched to a certain degree. Right. They can't live within like so many miles of a school and things like that, which is like common sense. I think a lot of these things are really just to suck the it's like an economic thing. They just want to suck the money out of the masses and forget about okay, well, everybody's just we'll control them with fear.
Right,
and intimidation.
And there's the whole prison industrial complex. That's a real thing. Like, that's a real thing. People are getting paid. That's why there's a lot of issues with that, the whole stuff with the war on drugs and everything else to begin with. Is like you have all these people getting paid that work in the prison industry, the construction, like everything. Yeah. And you don't think about all the people that are affected by this and all the people that are getting salaries and working and everything because of this system.
You're right. And then you've got Fig, who's shady. Who's like just validating that whole argument and everything. Okay, so I know you guys are like, okay, stop philosophizing and get back to the story. Okay, so she meets, Piper shows up to her new cell. Oh. And as soon as she steps in, she's greeted by, you thought that the people like Crazy Eyes them were weird. Like these people were like weird. And then she happens to step on a roach that's the size of a baby mouse. Right?
First thing she does, of course, Piper, always has to like
have to unknowingly stir things up by accident.
I want to know what's like, what's up with the animals. We had the chicken in the first season. We have the roach in this season.
I think
so. I want to know what it signifies. Like, is it?
That's a good point because I kind of thought about that. It was like kind of in the back of my mind, even though I didn't really bring it up like consciously, but it was kind of back of my mind. I was like, okay, like this kind of animal.
Yeah.
Primal. I think it represents something primal maybe, because they live in such an animalistic, primal environment. Maybe that has something to do with it. And then they trained the roach.
Yeah, they had an attachment.
They
had an attachment with these roaches.
Yeah, called it Yoda and the whole nine. Like they tried to train all these roaches, but this one just happened to be the one that was able to go and transport cigarettes or whatever from what was it?
Make it all the way to
make it through.
Shoe and come back.
Make it to shoe and come back. Like, are you serious? Like what the what? Like what? I've never heard
of anything. But I think
like
it also has to do with a representation of the two different facilities. Because one is more open, like the chicken was like faster and a little bit, you know, more free spirited.
And it represented a more lighter,
Yeah, that was a lighter episode,
tone,
yeah.
or lighter, you know.
And this, you know, the world's just so disgusting and so dark. You just don't even want to.
I know. Like, when you
Right.
think in general, it's like, oh, I don't want to be anything near a
Right.
roach. And now you're like training this roach to like bring a cigarette. I'm like, oh.
And they're, you know, and they're embracing this
Yeah.
roach.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a pet. And she even
Yes.
said something like that, like, I stepped on your pet or something like
Okay,
that.
how
It was
freaky
crazy.
is,
Again, it's
is
sad. It's
her
like, ugh.
bunkmate? Oh my god.
Oh, the
Well,
bunkmate.
all of them were a little. I mean,
It's like you got the cosmic one,
Yeah.
then you got you got
like a
the
stalker.
then you got the buff black bully, and then you got the Latina with the tattoos,
Mm-hmm.
who's like hell of intimidating, you know. So it's like, wow, like, oh my gosh. Then you got the little redheaded girl sitting in the corner.
Passing toilet paper.
Passing to- it's like, okay, this is really a freak show, and she still doesn't know why she's there. And then on
exactly.
top of that, you know what's even more intimidating, it has to be for a lady, is that there were male inmates that were
Yes.
working inside the
Yeah,
facility. That
which-
tripped me out.
that
Excuse
tripped me out too.
I
because
was like,
they were like mixed
what?
right in there. It
I was like,
weird.
what is going on here?
Well, even on the flight when they had mixed the men with the women too, I
yeah.
was like, wow, they're actually. I mean, I know they were being watched and everything, but it was still odd to see them mixed together like
Right.
that. So I was like, wow. And then you go to prison and there they are, you know, mixed in too. So
Right.
very intimidating, I would think.
especially considering everything that happened at Litchfield.
Yeah.
You know, behind closed doors,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, Trisha dying, and everything that Porn Stash got away with,
Right.
and everything that they were smuggling in and out of the prison. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, they have guys here.
Yeah.
Dude, this is a very suspect situation. Like, what's going on here? That's like really, really weird. One thing that went over my head though was how she found out that Voss was there. That's something I missed.
At the yard.
Yeah.
She saw her walking
She saw
away.
her. And at
Oh,
first I thought
that's
she was
right.
hallucinating. Did you
Yeah.
think that? Because at first I saw that and I was like, is she just thinking she sees her because it's a woman with glasses? And so she's just thinking, oh, it's Alex.
Right.
And at first that's what I thought it was going to be. I didn't actually think Alex was going to be there.
Right. This is, go ahead.
No, I thought, and the other thing that I was curious about too is why would, I mean, were we supposed to think, why was Alex like by herself in that other cell? Or was it just where we saw the perspective of them talking?
No, it was just as they said, there's groups. There's group A,
Yeah,
B, and C.
yeah.
So they're on different sides.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was necessarily a cell. I think it was just a divider between the
Oh,
two
between
rooms.
the two groups. Okay, because that's what I was trying to figure out. I'm like, if not, I'm like, why was she by herself? And you know, Piper was in with all those other people. But that's a good point. That could have been just the dividing line of
Yeah.
the different groups. Yeah.
You know, and this is something that I want to ask you guys and everybody out there that's watching. How did you guys feel about the situation that happened with the quote unquote, you know, the new buddy that she met on the plane that got beat up on the yard, and Piper just stood there and watched, and the girl cried for help and said, "Piper, help
know.
me." It was
it's-
like, wow, as Piper's crossed over to the dark side. Like, 'cause there was no like remorse in her eyes. None.
But does
like,
she
why are you
doesn't
crying?
really
Like,
know her.
She
She
doesn't
just
know her, I
met
know.
her. And
She-
she already knows the consequences of Litchfield,
Right.
you know, and what she's had to go through with the inmates, and not getting them to like her, but getting them to respect her to the point where they're not messing with her.
Right.
Because she doesn't know how long she's going to be there. But I did notice what you're saying. Like, her face was just
Yeah.
blank. There was no emotion. There was no, like...
It wasn't the fact that the inmate was getting beat up, because that happens in prison, right? It was her non-response, and how it was like so like
I was too, actually, by that. Because
I was tripped out by that.
Yeah, I was too, because I knew she was probably thinking, okay, I don't know how
Well-
long I'm going to be here, and I've got to get them to respect me. But
Right.
yeah, it was.
It was.
the
She didn't
lack
even
of-
have. She didn't even have like a remorseful look, like, oh, like
Yeah.
like she didn't even have like, oh, I want to help you, but there's nothing I could do. Like, they're beating you up. She was just like blank.
Well, the cold
Like
darkness
nothing.
is in her blood, I guess, now. She got a taste of Pennsatucky, so...
Pennsatucky got a taste of her.
Oh, yeah.
A big taste. She beat the crap out of her. Remember, she said she heard the bones crack or something like that. She did though.
Yeah, that's why she didn't know. And she didn't know. She didn't know if she killed her. She didn't know what was going on either. So she
Right.
was just... And that's why I love the fact that they let us go along with her and not know either. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. And then she, in order to get to Alex, she, I guess, she enlists the help of the Predator, who turns out to be a hitman, and who she turns off because she offers herself to him sexually. And he's like, I'm a predator, bitch. It's no fun if you offer. That just freaked me out. I was like, what? I was like, oh my gosh. These writers, you guys are really amazing with these lines. He's like, I'm a predator, B. It's no fun if you offer. What the hell? That tripped me out because she's like offering she's like a kiss, and he's like no, and then she's like a hand, she's offering him stuff just to take this note, and then it's like he takes the panties that she's like I've been.
Oh my god, that was so.
I was like, she's like I've been wearing it for 4 days.
So
I've been wearing panties for 4 days, and he was like, that'll do.
Even better.
Even better. I was like, oh my god, that was so gross.
I'm like, yeah, that's about right. That's right up his alley.
Yeah.
He takes him, he sniffs him.
Oh, I know. Right away, I was like, oh, man.
Right. And don't forget, she's in prison, too.
Yeah.
She had to pee for 5 hours. Yeah. All this,
Oh, my, please. Don't bring up the image.
I know, because I was already like, oh, man.
That was really funny.
But hey, the note gets to where it needs to get. So
did what she had to do.
Right. So
actually, for her, it was pretty easy. It's like,
that was nothing.
Do anything.
That was easier than giving him a kiss or
exactly.
giving him a hand job or anything like that.
I'd be like, I'd prefer that.
I think, but what's funny is I think that freaked her out.
Yeah.
More, I think it would have been less freaky for her to do something that she offered to him, give him a little kiss or whatever, something physical, because we all know that Piper's pretty physical, right? And she's used to doing physical or performing in physical activities. She likes it, whatever, even though she probably wouldn't have liked that. It's something she's used to. Giving your underwear to somebody that you've been wearing is almost like I want to say it's a worse violation, like some kind of way, because once you do the physical act, when it's over, it's over. What is this person doing with your underwear once they have it? They just have it. It's not over. They have it. That's going on for who knows how long. That's something that could really come back to haunt you later. It's out there.
Add
your
it to the
underwear,
list.
right?
Come back and
And he's not washing them. They're not going to the laundry. They're just he's gonna let that stench last in there as long as he can. Anyway, so Piper finds her way over to Alex. And Alex is in this holding cell or whatever. And that's when Alex lets her know, yo, this is the trial. Kubra's going on trial. Kupra Balik, right? Was his name Kupra Balik? And I guess he was the big drug running boss that Alex worked for. And his ways have caught up with him. And they want to extradite him. What was the situation with that? They wanted to extradite him back to Europe or something like that, but they're trying him there as well, so they can compound his violations or something like that, and they could put him away forever. So Piper ends up meeting with her attorney, who just happens to be Larry's dad. What a funny
already
exchange
in my
this
conflict
was.
of interest.
Right. So he meets with the dad. She meets with her attorney, Larry's dad, and they have a pretty candid conversation about the goings-on of what happened and how everything happened. She was pretty honest with him. And obviously it's probably because she has this comfort. Alex actually warns her and says, look, don't say anything. You can't say anything, blah, blah, blah. This guy is the real deal. He's a mafia hitman, or he's a mafia boss. He'll send people after you type of thing, right? But of course she's going to tell her attorney what she does. And he's like, look, you have to tell the truth. You're going to put this guy away. So you don't have to worry about blah, blah, blah. That's the right thing to do. And it was so funny how he said he always tells the truth unless somebody asks him if he gave $1 to heart disease. And he says he already gave. But other than that, he always tells the truth. And what's so funny about that is this is how amazing the writers are. They always happen to add those one-liners that appeal to everybody's conscience. They always have those little one-liners. It's well, I lie. I mean, I don't lie other than saying I gave $1 to heart disease and I didn't. I already gave or whatever. Everybody does that.
Well, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about being caught. A lot of other people are doing things and they never get caught for it. And these people ended up getting caught and going to prison. So it goes on that everyone's flawed.
Yes.
And no matter what it is, and sometimes lower than other levels of flawedness, but
Yes.
it goes to show that, he's flawed too, and you're doing things that aren't always telling the truth.
Right.
Aren't always doing the right thing.
Right, that's true. And just the fact that Emma mentioned that, it makes me think, how many criminals are out there? Criminals, period, that are out there, because there's a lot of innocent people that are locked up as well.
And that too.
And they've come out after years with DNA and then, or whatever the case, and they've been exonerated and let go and let free. And you're like, wow. Then that means the person who actually did that crime it's like everybody's so happy about the person who didn't commit the crime, who got locked up, getting set free. But remember, all this time that the person who actually did it
is
out there, has been out. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're like, dude,
wait a minute.
Wait a minute. That means, I'm happy for him. I don't think anybody ever really thinks like that. They're just like, oh, this person got out and he didn't do the crime. Man, that's like really
poor person.
Well, you have to
guy.
remember, it's a job for, the cops and detectives. They need to have a name to the story, period.
right.
It doesn't matter, sometimes it really doesn't matter who it is. They just need to close a case.
Right. And you know what that's to me is like, I think it is to anybody. It's just a matter of overdoing your job. It's like, if you don't have the proper evidence or whatever, and it just doesn't add
But
up.
it comes
Like, why
down
you
to
just,
numbers. The same way, why do you need to give tickets, that are nonsense? Because they need to meet numbers.
And they swear.
Which adds to money.
They swear they don't have a quota,
And
but I
they
swear they do.
Of course.
I don't know why you guys
Because they
lie
have
about
budgets
that.
and they got to make, that was the whole thing about parking tickets today, even here in LA, about how ridiculously high they are. And it's the same thing. It's like they have quotas, they have budgets that they are supposed to get. So
I mean, just knowing what the average rent is, okay? The average rent is probably, I don't know, in LA, $900 to $1,000 maybe, average. I'm just guessing, I'm thinking, And some of these tickets could be close to 10% of a person's rent.
right. Or when you think about a person that's working a low-wage job, minimum wage job, they're basically paying a whole entire day's worth of work just for a parking ticket if you came out a minute or two later. And that's ridiculous.
Just to tell a quick parking story, and that's gone off the subject, but I was given a ticket by a law enforcement officer while I walked up to my car, and the time ran out while I was walking up to the car.
Yeah, and they don't care.
And it was blinking green.
Yep.
I knew the time was going to go out. She sat there and waited.
Right, of course.
And as soon as it turned to red, she actually mailed. She obviously didn't put it on there, but she actually sent it in the mail. And I actually called and complained for the supervisor, and lo and behold, I still got the ticket.
Right, of course, it's very hard to get out of this.
But he was like, just file it, just appeal it, and
you can never win those appeals.
Right. It's like, why? It's almost like it's abuse. If I said, you know what, this is horrible because this is the kind of thing that makes me not believe in you and believe in the system and believe that you guys are really above board and have integrity and doing what you're supposed to do.
And that's the same thing in the prisons, and that's what we're talking about. You see what happened in season one with Litchfield and all the stuff going on behind the scenes and the way the guards treated the women and
where the money's being funneled to.
Yeah, exactly. So you do question those type of things when you see that, because it's not all above board.
It's horrible.
We're seeing here.
Abuse of authority. What is it? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So it's horrible. Moving on. So,
well, before we move on, let's tell everyone about Maria's new book, Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness.
Ah, yes.
Check it out, guys. It has great recipes, fitness tips, everything you need to get in shape for the summer. So pick up a copy at Amazon, online research.
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon.
At a bookstore.
At a bookstore, right? They still have them on the shelf.
And,
they still have them on the shelves because Maria's books go pretty quickly.
Make sure to let us know what you guys think.
She's number 4.
Number 4 in the New York Times bestseller, or at least
her
she
last
was the
book.
other day. I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And it's not just for the ladies. That's what I always say. That's why I said in my review. It's for the guys too. Everyone can get something from the book.
Yeah, the exercises are
right. Anyone can do it. So
anyone can do it.
And anybody that knows Maria or has followed Maria's career or whatever knows Maria has a flat tummy and she's in pretty good shape. But she talks about when she picked up a few pounds back in the day when she was in college. I guess that freshman 15, that's what it's called when everybody goes to freshman year of college and they get all that dorm food.
The freshman 40 apparently.
Was it freshman 40?
She said she lost 40 pounds.
Was it 40 pounds? Wow. So
Which I get it because I've been there myself too.
Yeah,
I'm like the male Oprah. I seesaw. Sometimes I'm larger than the other times, but I've gone the whole 50-pound swing, so I get it.
Right. So I
That's
mean,
why it's a good book for everybody.
yeah, that's what I mean. You can definitely see the results. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Maria's in phenomenal shape.
Absolutely.
So yeah, go pick up a copy of that. So the transport ride. Here's this thing with Alex and Piper again, where they're being transported to testify in court, and Piper expresses reluctance in not telling the truth.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting, kind of because what she witnessed earlier in the in her flashbacks as a child.
Right.
And now she's like, oh, I want to tell the truth. Like she was very uncomfortable about lying.
She's extremely conflicted at this point. And Alex is thinking like, look, this is already said. It's too late for you to be wishy-washy or lukewarm on this. You can't do it. And I think, didn't she leave it like she was going to tell the truth? Then that's how she left it when we left that scene, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're on the transport and we're thinking that she's going to tell the truth. So they go to court. This girl, I swear, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, really, Piper? Really?
she really wants
Pipes?
to stay in jail.
I'm like, what is wrong
She could have probably made a deal, like cut a deal with them.
Oh, yeah,
if
she could have been free.
easily, because she already had like a 8 or 9 month sentence or
Yeah.
something like that, something really short.
Yeah.
Like she could have cut a deal and she could have been out on house arrest
She could have been out that day.
for somebody that big and somebody who's being extradited to a whole nother like continent.
Yeah.
Like for her to give incriminating evidence, she could have easily cut a deal and been at home just like that.
Absolutely.
And been done with it. But here she is again. And this is the thing that's frustrating as far as she's concerned, is that, and actually she described it, when she said she couldn't recall. They're asking her, the prosecutor was asking her all these questions about, you never met her boss, you were dating her, and you never met this guy at this location or that location. You traveled here, traveled there, traveled here, traveled there.
I mean, she indirectly said it, but they didn't catch that.
Well, it's not that they didn't catch it. It's that
She just
she
didn't
didn't really
mention the
say
name.
it.
She didn't really say it. Yeah, it was like, I don't recall.
And if you
I don't recall.
right, she's saying it like with her
Right.
body, but
No, because she said everyone else was just in the background.
In the background,
Right.
She's
So
like,
that's like,
saying that he was there, and she might have, but she wasn't paying attention because she was
Right.
all in Alex and.
But which is she's actually proving again right now. Just she's an idiot for this woman.
Well, and that's the thing that I think is probably frustrating for a lot. It's like you see this woman that comes across as being the smart, well put together woman that keeps making stupid mistakes. And there she is again, starting out this first episode making a stupid mistake again.
I don't know. It has to be daddy issues. I'm gonna take it back to daddy issues. Ever since the whole thing with the mom.
well, no, it goes back to her telling the truth. She got punished for telling the truth. So, once again, she can be associating that with
That's true. She
her
could
getting
be.
a longer
Right, if she's gonna be
punishment,
punished.
or even, Alex scaring her that something might happen to her. So, to her, telling the truth is not... It didn't do anything to her when she
Right.
was younger. It didn't help her out. It got her grounded.
You're right, and that's
Right.
very confusing for a child, especially
It
for
is.
something so blatantly and morally wrong as
Something
what
that's
she
so
knows.
black and white for a child of
Right.
seeing her dad with somebody else.
Exactly, and she has learned that at this point as a child. She has learned that the mommy and daddy are just the mommy and daddy, and that being with somebody else is not right. And now that's being questioned or been challenged, and she's been punished for it herself. That is very confusing for a child. And then as she grows older, all that's going to do is just like fester and grow, and just her moral code, so to speak, in how she kind of looks and handles situations.
Yep. So I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't surprised by her.
Oh, no.
I wasn't either.
'Cause I knew she was gonna
mad
do
though.
that. I was
really,
too, of
I was
course.
like,
I
do
was-
not. I was like, you better. I was
Right.
like, I felt like the dad when he was sitting there and making those faces. Like,
Yeah. It's like, really?
like I've wasted all. He mentioned they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on her in court fees, whatever. And of course, they're doing it because look, this was my son's
This is
fiance.
a family, or
He loves
soon to be
her.
family.
Wants to be with her, even though we don't think she's the best thing for him. Blah blah blah. They have put so much into this and helping her, and for her to just
Just
like
sit there and after he told her, and then she just blatantly
But
lies.
I think the ending wasn't unpredictable for me.
Right.
Which was the funny part because I was like, oh, that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just knew that was gonna happen.
Her doing that, and then with Alex,
But then
like,
what I also like is how they did the flashback to show just how intimate of a relationship that they had.
Yep.
It wasn't something where it was casual at cocktail parties with a bunch of people, and it was like, oh, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then they, it wasn't a by chance or a passing. It was they were hanging out
together
at his location, his pool. And it was only, 5 of them there?
Mm-hmm. It was very intimate.
It was very intimate.
And then again, we see her lying to her dad, and her mom, like, where she's at.
Right.
And she's, so again, we're seeing this whole kind of pattern that's emerged from the very beginning from her when that time happened with her as a child. So I was like, oh, now she's, which of course, at some degree, I think anyone could possibly lie to their parents in that situation. So I didn't read too much into that. If they didn't want their parents to know that she's with a woman and she's, working in the drug. So obviously, I could see her lying about that, but it just goes to show that pattern has continued onward. And I thought that was a good moment they showed that as well.
And she had the epiphany. She had the epiphany on the transport. It was like enough, and she's explained it and how the enough is enough, and I blah, 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 blah. I need to, just start clean and fresh right now. And she still didn't
it's the stupid decision that she still makes.
She's a glutton for punishment, this girl. I swear.
Well, Alex
Piper
took the deal and
Chapman.
got out.
I know, and of course Alex, of course. And then after all that, Alex is the one that tells the truth, and it's like, of course, you knew that was going to happen, but it's like, man.
She mind effed her.
And she totally did.
Oh, totally. And what was funny was, remember when they opened the door when she was on the witness stand, and Alex was there sitting down, and she turned around and she could see Alex sitting there, and Alex was looking at her?
Yeah.
Dude.
She just still has her wrapped around her finger there.
Piper Chapman is not the sharpest tool in the shed. As smart as she is,
Well, again, as smart as she appears to be in the background, and you start to see that there's all these cracks there.
Right.
And that's what we're learning in this first episode of the second season. So.
Okay. So, do we have any news and gossip? Because we're not going to do predictions, obviously, because of the state of the show.
Right, we can't.
No.
Right. No news and gossip?
No.
Okay,
No.
So where can they find you until next time, guys?
Well, no, I was going to say, although we've got the beautiful Laverne Cox on the cover of Time.
Oh, yes.
Check that out.
Yes.
Pretty awesome.
That's news. That's news and gossip right there. Laverne Cox on the cover of Time magazine, right?
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal. And she's extremely talented.
Yes, she is.
Needless to say. So, until next time, where can we find you guys?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at RealMcKay.
And you can find me on the Twitter at SMan80, SMan80, and I'll be back here for Defiance and True Blood later on this month as well.
Awesome. And you can find me, Club Thaddeus, on Twitter and Instagram, and GQJedi.com. And you can also find me here Mondays at 7 o'clock for Star's original series, Power, executive produced by 50 Cent, starring Omari Hardwick. Until next time, After Buzzers.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.